Revealed, how one millionaire's heartwarming act changed the life of a poor girl denied entry. Mia had always dreamed big, but life in her bustling urban neighborhood made it hard to see a clear path forward. Her single mother, once filled with pride in her work, now walked the house like a ghost after losing her job. And there was Mia, 16 years old and determined, juggling multiple jobs just to keep the lights on. Between taking orders at the fast food joint and babysitting the neighbors' rowdy children, she gave it everything she had. Still, every night, she lay awake, her heart swelling with hope, planning her way out. Her best friend, Lucy, was on the verge of applying to a prestigious school, all the advantages that came with privilege paid for with money Mia didn't have. It hurt to feel like an outsider in a world that seemed to celebrate connection, wealth, and opportunity. One day, Mia volunteered to help at a community event, believing that even the smallest efforts could push her closer to her dreams. That's when Jack, a wealthy local millionaire, caught sight of her. He saw Mia working tirelessly, a smile on her face even if her heart was heavy. Upon hearing about the school's discriminatory policies, he was struck by her determination. This isn't right, he thought. Fueled by a fierce sense of justice, he stepped up to the school board. The moment he stood in front of the administration, his voice grew louder with passion. Everyone deserves a chance. But instead of support, he faced a backlash. A crowd murmured doubts and questioned his motives, leaving Mia feeling even more isolated. Meanwhile, Mia couldn't escape the heaviness that settled in her chest. The walls of judgment seemed to close in, and her dreams began to splinter. Just when despair threatened to swallow her whole, Jack's impassioned speech during a town hall meeting went viral. More than mere support, it sparked a fierce debate on merit and opportunity throughout the city. People rallied around Mia, she became a symbol of resilience, and voices rose on both sides. But what about her? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the board finally agreed to a public hearing, a mixture of anticipation and dread filled the air. Mia felt like she was on the edge of something monumental, her moment to speak for herself and countless others like her. With bated breath, she approached the podium, heart racing. Every eye in the room fixated upon her, waiting for the words that might change everything. "Here I am," she whispered, barely audible but filled with spirit. The world had belittled her, told her who she couldn't be. Yet, hope sparked in her eyes. Just as her voice rose to make the point that everyone deserves opportunity, a comment from the school board sliced through the air. The room fell silent, tension like a tightrope. All eyes remained glued to Mia, waiting to see if the weight of privilege would finally break or if she, too, would find a way to break through. Mia's heart raced as the silence thickened around her. The comment from the school board member lingered in the air, drowning her resolve in an ocean of doubt. She took a deep breath, hoping to regain her composure. The room felt like it was closing in. Her mouth moved, but no words came out. "Really?" someone shouted from the back, breaking the silence. It was Lucy, and her voice ignited a spark in Mia's chest. "Don't let them silence you, Mia. You have a voice." Encouraged, Mia adjusted the microphone. "You don't know my story," she said, her voice now steady and powerful. "My mom worked hard all her life. She raised me alone, and we struggled. Every night, I watched her tire herself out just to give me a little more. I'm here because I want a chance, not just for me, but for everyone who has ever been told that they don't belong." As she spoke, faces in the crowd shifted. Some nodded in agreement, others exchanged bewildered glances. Jack stood at the back, his heart swelling with admiration for the girl whose spirit couldn't be dimmed. This was the moment he had pushed for. This was Mia reclaiming her narrative. With each word, she painted a picture of resilience. She spoke about late-night studying by the light of a flickering bulb, about the kids she had cared for so they wouldn't end up on the street, and about the dreams that danced just out of reach. Many hadn't seen her struggle. But right now, in that hall, she laid bare her soul. "I know I don't have the same background as most of you," she continued, tears welling in her eyes. "But that doesn't make me less deserving of an education. It doesn't make my dreams any less valid." A murmur rolled through the audience, a building wave of understanding. Just then, the same board member who had made the earlier comment attempted to interrupt. "Miss Mia, we appreciate your," but Mia wasn't finished. "You want to know what's unfair? It's not about me being here today. It's about every kid who has been denied just because they weren't born into privilege. Every kid who dreams of a better life but sees doors shut in their faces." The board member shifted uncomfortably in his seat, but the air was charged now. Mia's words had struck a chord. "I'm more than my zip code," she declared, standing tall. "My work ethic, my passion, my drive, these are worth something. I'm asking for a chance to show you that I can succeed, just like anyone else." As she spoke, the audience began to clap. Softly at first, then with increasing force, a thunderous applause enveloped her. It was as if each clap were a silent vow, a promise of support. Jack felt a lump rise in his throat. This was the power of community, the way one person could change everything through sheer fearless determination. Mia had transformed from a silhouette in the shadows to a vibrant beacon of hope. But just as the applause started to fade, an opposing voice sliced through the moment. "This is a distraction," another board member rose, his tone dismissive. "You think this changes anything? We cannot accommodate everyone who wants in." The room shifted again, the energy turning uncertain. Mia could feel the weight of judgment pressing back. Doubt chipped away at her confidence, and for a brief moment, she felt the walls close in again. Would she be able to sway the board, or would they remain entrenched in their privileges? As she looked at Jack, she could see the fight in his eyes. "Just wait," he seemed to say, his gaze not wavering. "You're not done yet." But could she really force the change she so desperately wanted? Mia squared her shoulders. With Jack's fierce spirit behind her and the community cheering her on, she was far from finished. But would she find the strength to stand her ground, or would the tides of tradition usher her away once more? Mia felt a rush of emotions as the applause lingered in her ears. It warmed her, a soothing balm against the chill of doubt creeping back in. She glanced around the room, and the expressions on the faces of the audience revealed a mix of uncertainty and solemn understanding. Her heart tightened at the thought of their judgment. But somewhere within her, hope flickered like a dancing candle. "Everything I've done, everything I believe it matters," she told herself, clenching her fists. "I can't give up now." Clearing her throat, she continued, her voice fierce and unwavering. "You might think that my story doesn't deserve to be heard, that I am just a name on a list. But I am part of a community that dreams, that fights against the odds every single day. Our struggles aren't distractions, they are the very backbone of this country." The board members shifted, unsure of how to respond. She saw a few of the younger audience members begin to nod, their faces lighting with recognition she was speaking for them, too. "Tell them, Mia." Lucy shouted again from the back, her eyes shining with encouragement. "Those who have always played it safe don't understand the price of being brave," Mia pressed on, her gaze steady. "But they need to. They need to see us, to hear us. And guess what? We're not going anywhere." As she spoke, Mia could feel the energy beginning to shift again. It was subtle, like the first cracks in a dam before it bursts open. She could almost taste the excitement in the air, mixed with the uncertainty of change. Suddenly, Jack stepped forward, standing beside her, grounding her with his solid presence. "What she is saying is valid," he echoed, voice strong and clear. "We all deserve a shot at education, a shot at our dreams. The circumstances of our birth don't define our potential. His words rang true, and they resonated through the room. Mia could hardly believe how much support was swirling around her now. The murmurs of the crowd increased, voices lifting together in a chorus that felt like music to her ears, but just as she opened her mouth to respond to Jack, the dismissive board member cut in again. And who will pay for this fantasy? Charity and dreams 1T fill a classroom. I want to inspire, Mia snapped, her voice sharper than she intended. It's not just about the money, it's about investing in the future. Think of all the untapped potential of those kids out there. They're ready to change the world, they just need a chance. The applause started again, this time stronger, rising to a fever pitch. Children stood up, eyes bright, hope igniting in their chests. Mia felt the warmth spread within her, filling her with an unshakable resolve. Even the older folks were leaning in, captivated by her passion, but then, Mia caught a glimpse of the other board member. His expression hardened, his eyes calculating. We're not making promises we can't keep. Not all dreams come true just because they're spoken. Those words hung heavy in the air, sending a chill through her. The crowd remained electric, but uncertainty had crept in again. The fight was still far from over, and despite the support, Mia could feel a storm brewing behind the old walls of tradition. What if I can't convince them? She mused silently, her heart fluttering. But then she remembered the faces of those who cheered for her, the faces of the kids who needed a chance. She glanced at Jack, his expression unwavering, filled with a fierce determination that urged her on. She took a deep breath, ready for whatever came next. Tonight, we can either break down barriers or let them stand tall, she said, passion in her eyes. And I know which side I choose. But as the final whispers settled, did she have enough time left to change hearts, or would they hold steadfast to their stubbornness? The tension was palpable, the moment for a crucial decision was drawing near. Mia stood there, her heart racing. Every soul in that room felt electric with possibility, yet the air thickened as that board member's words hung like a heavy fog. She had a choice, she could retreat into doubt or stand firm. As she focused on Jack beside her, her resolve grew. Together, we can create a bridge, she said, her voice steady, building on the energy of the crowd. A bridge between dreams and reality. Every great achievement starts with a single step. Why shouldn't that step begin right here, tonight? The room crackled with energy. Faces were filled with hope and skepticism in equal parts. Yet, the younger faces gleamed with raw ambition, their eyes sparkling like stars in the dark sky. They weren't just faceless conversations anymore, they were future doctors, teachers, artists, a reflection of what could be. Let us not forget the power of collective action, Jack added, stepping closer to Mia and moving among the audience. What can we accomplish if we come together as a community? We can be the change agents this world needs. His words seemed to envelop the spectators, igniting sparks across the room. Mia searched for those glimmers in their eyes and zeroed in on an older woman in the back, her brows knitted but absorption clear on her face. Please, Mia encouraged, ask yourself what legacy you want to create. What stories of change will you tell your children? Will it be of silence in the face of struggle, or of strength and unity? As she spoke, she could see some faces soften as doubt began to unravel. Hope replaced skepticism, much like the sun breaking through heavy clouds. But just when she felt they were shifting, the firm voice of the board member cut through the warmth. Words cannot pledge real change. We need facts, statistics. This isn't a fairy tale. Mia tightened her fists, her heart pounding in tandem with the tension in the room. And who are you to decide what is real? She challenged. What about the stories? The lived experiences that can't be numbered but can only be felt? Every child who is denied opportunity becomes just another statistic. They become forgotten. The walls seemed to tremble under the weight of her words. The audience shifted, many nodding, murmuring affirmatively, acknowledging her truth. But that icy figure on the board pressed again, unyielding. We can't run this program without a solid financial foundation. Then let us build one together. Mia shot back, daring to step further into the unknown. Investors, community members, let us draw them in. They'll see the value of fostering our youth. Let this be the turning point where they can see us, hear us. From the corner of her eye, she caught Lucy, her hands pressed together, eyes sparkling with belief. In that moment, Mia felt a shot of energy course through her, unity bursting forth like a wildfire. Then, as if fate had shifted, a well-dressed man stepped forward through the crowd. Mia's stomach dropped, her heart raced with a mix of fear and hope. Who was he? Would he help or hinder? "Excuse me," he said, voice firm yet gentler than the board member's. "I couldn't help but overhear." Silence fell like a shroud. Every gaze turned toward him. "If there's a chance to change lives, I want to be part of it." Mia's breath hitched. Was he about to pull the rug out from under her, or could he be the catalyst for change? The crowd held its breath, whispers buzzing like bees. This was more than a simple speech now, it was a moment that could alter the course of everything. "What do you have in mind?" she asked, her pulse racing as the room waited, caught between hope and uncertainty. But as an unsteady silence enveloped them, Mia wondered if this man truly realized what he was stepping into, or if he would crumble under the weight of expectations, just as so many before him had. The potential for a shift hung like the evening stars, radiant but uncertain. And with the flicker of hope dimming against the clouds of doubt, would Mia's dream slip away or be reborn in a moment of courage? The silence in the room stretched like a rubber band, taut with anticipation. Mia could hardly breathe as she waited for the man's response. The eyes of the audience, filled with curiosity and expectation, felt like a weight pressing down on her shoulders. Finally, he stepped forward. "What if I backed this initiative?" His voice was calm, but there was an intensity behind it that caught everyone off guard. "What if I provide the funds to launch it? And not just the money, I want to work alongside you. I want to understand the community's needs personally." Mia's heart raced. Was this really happening? "You mean you'd support our vision?" she pressed, eyebrows knitted in disbelief. The insinuation was as thrilling as it was terrifying. "This isn't just about money, you understand that, right? We need a partnership, commitment, a belief in the people we want to uplift." The man nodded, determination gleaming in his eyes. "I do understand. I failed once to invest in people, in change. I won't make that mistake again." A ripple of murmurs coursed through the crowd. Jack's expression shifted from skepticism to hope. Mia couldn't help but feel a flicker of excitement blooming in her chest. "Why should we trust you?" a voice rang out from the back of the room. It was the older woman Mia had noticed earlier, her tone skeptical but not unkind. "You don't know our struggles. What makes you believe you can make a difference?" A tension filled the air as the man turned to face her. "Because I've seen the impact of my mistakes," he said earnestly. "I come from privilege but was blind to the barriers many face every day, their dreams stifled by a lack of resources. I want to change that mindset, to be a part of creating opportunities, not just for myself but for others." Mia watched as his words were absorbed, the crowd growing quieter as they absorbed the implications. There was something genuine, raw even, about his admission. A brief silence lingered, then another voice, this time younger, chimed in. "If he believes in us, we should believe in him, right?" Nods began to emerge as excitement buzzed through the room like an electric current. This was the moment Mia had hoped for, what she had dreamed of in her most vulnerable hours. But caution lingered in the corners of her mind. Would this be a fleeting moment of hope, or would it lead to substantive change? "Let us hear his plan," she said, fighting the threads of doubt. "What do you propose we do next?" "I envision a series of workshops, mentorship programs, and resources that build on the strengths of our community," he replied. Together, we can tackle the core issues that need addressing: education, career opportunities, and emotional support. Investing in people means investing in progress. The reactions around her transformed from skepticism into flickers of enthusiasm. Mia felt a smile creeping onto her face. Could it be possible? But just as the emotions began to swell, the ever-cynical board member's voice resurfaced, a chilling reminder of the hurdles they need to overcome. Talk is easy. What's the plan? Who will run these programs? You need structure. Jack stepped forward, fierce determination on his face. We'll create that structure. We'll form a committee to ensure accountability and transparency. Together, we will lay the groundwork. Mia watched the chatter unfold, each person finding their voice, their courage. Hope pulsed in the air, insistent and intoxicating. Let us rekindle the inspiration that brought us together tonight, the older woman offered, her tone softer now. We have a chance to rewrite the narratives of our lives. As individuals began to speak, their dreams filling the room in a loud, confident chorus, Mia marveled at the determination coalescing around her, but just as she thought they might finally be on the right path, Mia felt an unsettling chill creep back into her thoughts. What if tomorrow brought devastating doubts? What if the man's intentions didn't translate into action? Mia stood at the precipice of hope and uncertainty, craving the jump into collective boldness, yet held back by a flicker of fear. Would the tides turn truly in their favor, or would they drown beneath expectations unmet? As the night continued, conversations erupted around her, but the question loomed larger: was this moment the beginning of something beautiful, or just another empty promise fading into the fabric of time? The atmosphere in the room buzzed with new energy, voices weaving together in a complex tapestry of dreams and possibilities. Mia stood at the center, a witness to all the shifting emotions. As people animatedly exchanged ideas, she could feel their resolve hardening, like clay being molded into shape, but beneath that excitement, her mind spun with worries. She glanced at the man who had sparked this flame. What if he was just another player in the game, ready to leave as soon as the tides turned against him? His gaze, however, remained focused and earnest, which was reassuring yet confusing. Jack, fueled by a newly found fervor, raised his voice above the chatter. Let us break into smaller groups. We can brainstorm specifics. What workshops do we need? Who can lead them? His enthusiasm was infectious, heads nodded, and the air was thick with ideas waiting to explode. Mia felt a weight lift. This was no longer just her dream. It was theirs. It became clear that the community had been aching for change, waiting for this very moment. Everyone had something to contribute, and slowly but surely, plans began to form like the glow of dawn piercing through darkness. Yet, amidst the hope, a nagging thought tangled in her mind like wild vines. What about the challenges they faced in the past? She recalled the countless initiatives that had started strong but ended in disappointment. We have to be practical, she said, injecting a note of caution. As soon as the passionate discussions began gaining momentum, the crowd quieted, some faces reflecting the confusion of myriads of expectations. Let us not forget how easily this can falter if we don't prepare, she continued. We need a solid foundation first. A roadmap. The older woman from earlier stepped forward, her expression now softened by the stirrings of camaraderie. Yes, but courage is the first step, Mia. If we're not willing to leap, we'll never know how high we can soar. We can't let fear hold us back any longer. Her voice reverberated in the silence that followed. An urge to cry welled up inside Mia. It wasn't just about pragmatism, it was the delicate dance of hope and fear that shaped their lives. This woman, seasoned and resilient, understood that the future required more than just a strategic plan. It demanded the audacity to dream. The man moved a step closer, his gaze locked onto Mia's. She's right. This can't just be a project, it has to be a movement. But movements are born out of passion and shared belief. I am ready to invest not just financially, but emotionally. I want to be in the trenches with you. A soft gasp echoed from the younger members in the audience, followed by murmurs of agreement. Mia felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. Could they really do this? Suddenly, a voice from the corner broke through her reverie. Wait! What if you are just using us to reclaim your own sense of purpose? The skepticism came from someone Mia hadn't noticed before, hidden in the shadows, arms crossed defiantly. Why should we be your inspiration? Mia's heart sank. The doubts crept back in, threatening to unravel the threads that had just begun to weave together. She could see the tension return to faces, the spark of hope waning. She needed to respond. Because if we don't believe in each other, change will never come at all, she said softly. We have to commit to lifting each other up, not just for ourselves but for the community. The silence that followed felt like eternity. Then one by one, heads began to nod slowly. A powerful wave of understanding washed over them. Maybe, just maybe, if they all took that leap of faith together, they could rewrite the narrative of their lives, but even as that hope surged, Mia felt a flicker of fear ignite in her heart again. What lay ahead was still uncertain. What if their dreams crashed against the rocks of reality? As her thoughts swirled, the man raised his hand, silencing the room. Let us set up the first meeting next week, he proposed, his voice steady. We'll take this journey step by step. The moment felt electric. Yet, anxieties tangled in her mind. Was it too soon to trust? Too easy to hope? Mia looked around the room, searching for answers in the faces that surrounded her, anticipation, skepticism, excitement. A tapestry of emotions. The weight of tomorrow loomed larger than ever, and as she took a deep breath, she wondered what challenges awaited them next. Would they be able to build something lasting, or would this all fall apart in the light of dawn? With hearts beating as one, the crowd erupted into spirited conversations again. But Mia couldn't shake the thought, would this unity hold? And, more importantly, would she be brave enough to embrace the journey ahead? Mia left the meeting with a swirl of emotions coursing through her. The energy of the room lingered in her veins, but it was quickly overshadowed by uncertainty. The moment had been charged with hope, but the lingering doubt spun around her like a tempest. As she stepped outside, the evening air hit her like a refreshing splash. She needed clarity, and the night offered a momentary respite from the chaos brewing in her mind. She walked aimlessly, her feet carrying her past familiar streets that now felt different. A few kids played in the park, their laughter echoing like a forgotten melody. She paused, watching them, and for a moment, she felt her heart lighten. These kids were part of the community she longed to uplift. They were worth fighting for. Yet, the weight of responsibility pressed heavily on her chest. What if they failed? What if they put all their energy into this movement only to watch it crumble? She shook her head, trying to dismiss the creeping fears. The woman at the meeting had spoken of courage, and Mia sensed she needed to channel that spirit. But courage often collided with doubt, and she wasn't sure which would win. Without realizing it, she found herself at her favorite spot overlooking the river, a tiny wooden bench worn smooth by years of visitors. It had been her sanctuary, a place where she often found solace. She sat down, drawing her knees close, and stared at the water flowing rhythmically. The river, she thought, was a good analogy for what lay ahead. It carved its path through the land, adapting and reshaping with each obstacle, sometimes strong and sometimes gentle. Could they be like that river? Just then, she remembered the man's intensity, the way he looked at her. There was authenticity there, a spark that had ignited something deep in her. But could she really depend on him? What are you truly after? She whispered to herself, the question heavy in the air. As if the universe heard her, her phone buzzed, pulling her from her thoughts. It was a text from Jack. I can't stop thinking about what we discussed. The first meeting is going to be monumental. A warmth blossomed in her chest at his enthusiasm. It reminded her that they weren't in this alone. She wasn't alone. Just then, the silhouettes of a few familiar faces appeared on the horizon. A group of her friends approached, smiling and waving. The sight lifted her spirit. They joined her on the bench, and soon laughter filled the air as stories of their lives spilled over. For those moments, they were not just friends but partners in a mission that was slowly taking shape. "Hey, what did you think of the meeting?" one of them asked, nudging her playfully. Mia hesitated, the truth about her fears swirling in her mind. "I think we're all ready to dive in, but... Another friend prodded, their attention piqued. Mia looked at each of their faces, a mix of encouragement and curiosity reflecting in their eyes. "I just really want this to work. I need to believe we can really do something impactful together." One friend placed a hand over hers, squeezing gently. "We'll support each other. That's what this is about, right?" The conversation evolved as every word built a connection that grounded Mia. Through laughter and shared dreams, the fears began to ebb away. It was not just about her anymore. It was about every one of them, standing together, ready to take that leap. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows, a sense of belonging enveloped her. They could face whatever came their way as long as they did it together. Yet beneath that newfound resolve lay a flicker of dread. Life had a way of throwing curveballs when least expected, and she couldn't shake the feeling that something was brewing just beyond the horizon. What challenges awaited them? Would the unity they felt tonight survive the tides of reality? With those thoughts mingling in her mind, she realized she was at a turning point. The following week would be critical. She took a deep breath, hoping that together, they could find a way forward. But what if trust turned out to be both their greatest strength and vulnerability? The week dragged on, each day blending into the next as Mia prepared for the first official meeting. Every time she thought about it, her stomach fluttered. Was she ready? The doubt crept back in, uninvited, whispering uncertainties that wrapped around her like a heavy blanket. Each night, she returned to that worn bench by the river, using the tranquility of the flowing water to drown out the noise in her mind. The day of the meeting finally arrived. The sun rose with bright optimism, but Mia was wide awake, her mind racing. She gathered her notes, making sure everything was organized. What if they didn't believe in her vision? What if her dreams fell flat before they even began? The what-ifs swirled like a storm. As she arrived at the community center, her heart thudded loudly in her chest. The once warm and inviting space suddenly felt intimidating. But then she spotted Jack, laughing with a few other friends, familiar faces that reminded her of the love and support surrounding her. That's when she felt her pulse steady, the grounding presence of her friends bringing comfort. "Hey! You ready?" Jack asked, a bright smile fighting the shadows of early morning nerves. "Not really, but I think I will be soon," Mia replied, trying to infuse her voice with confidence even though she felt far from it. As people trickled into the room, the air thickened with energy, an electric mix of hope and apprehension. Mia took a deep breath, allowing herself to absorb the excitement in the room. When it was time to start, she stepped forward, her stomach churning, but determination simmering just beneath the surface. "Thank you for coming today," she began, her voice wavering slightly. "We're here because we want to make a difference in our community. Together. I truly believe we can do something beautiful." Mia's gaze met Jack's, and he nodded, providing an anchoring gaze that she desperately needed. As she continued, recounting her vision for a community garden to bring neighbors together while providing fresh produce for those in need, she could see their interest spark. Her passion shone through, wrapping them in her dreams as though they were a warm blanket on a cold night. Then, one hand raised in the crowd, an older gentleman, Mr. Thompson, who had always been a stalwart in the community. "What if it doesn't work?" he challenged, his voice filled with skepticism rather than outright aggression. A collective murmur swept through the room, and Mia felt the breath catch in her throat. "What if it does?" she countered softly. "What if we inspire others? What if this is the start of something great?" The room froze for a moment, the silence heavy as if a single breath could alter the fate of their dreams. Then, surprisingly, another voice chimed in, a single mother who had stood quietly at the back. I think it's worth a try. We need something like this. It's more than just a garden, it's hope. Mia's heart swelled as others began to echo those sentiments, rallying together. Voices of encouragement bubbled up, weaving a tapestry of support. As they discussed ideas and hopes, Mia's worries began to fade, replaced by a roaring belief that perhaps they were onto something special after all. It was not just about the garden, it was about connection, about building a community worth fighting for. Yet, just as the energy hit a peak, the door swung open, and in walked a stranger. A man dressed in an expensive suit, his expression unreadable, made heads turn. Mia's pulse quickened. Who was he, and what was he doing here? Sorry for interrupting, he said, his voice smooth but firm. I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. I have a proposal that might change everything. Mia's chest tightened. What could he possibly want to offer? Would it be in their favor, or bring another storm of doubt crashing down? As she looked around the room, the excitement still buzzing but now layered with a newfound tension, she couldn't help but wonder, could this be the lifeline they needed, or just another twist in an already complicated journey? The room's atmosphere shifted palpably when the stranger stepped forward. Mia could feel the anticipation, heavy in the air like an approaching storm. She couldn't remember a time when this much uncertainty had gripped her so fiercely. The eyes of her friends and neighbors, now glistening with curiosity and hesitance, turned towards the man in the suit. Who are you? Mia found her voice, though it trembled slightly. This was her meeting, her vision, but now it felt like a stage for someone else's act. I'm Mark Reynolds, he said, flashing a confident smile. I've been following community initiatives in this town for some time. When I heard about your idea for the garden, I thought it was a fantastic project. And I want to help. Help? The word hung in the air like a lifeline, but Mia felt cautious. How do you plan to help? She asked, narrowing her eyes slightly. Skepticism laced her tone, and she noted the raised eyebrows of Mr. Thompson. Investment. Mark's gaze roved over the crowd, making connections with loose glances. I can secure funding enough to get you started and sustain it for years to come. A ripple of murmurs flowed through the audience. Some voices brimmed with excitement while others felt the chill of mistrust. Mia's heart raced. Was this a true opportunity, or would it complicate her dream? What's the catch? Mr. Thompson's skepticism emerged again, cutting through the hopeful chatter. No catch. Mark leaned casually against a wall, arms crossed as though the fate of the community garden was a light topic. I just want to see this town thrive. A community garden can do wonders, especially for kids and families who struggle. Mia searched Mark's eyes for sincerity but found only a cool, calculated confidence. The warmth she felt from her neighbors now seemed distant and fleeting. What do you gain from this? She pressed on, challenging him, needing to understand. I'm a businessman, he replied, a hint of a grin flickering at the corners of his mouth. But I also have roots here. My parents grew up in this neighborhood. I want to give back. Everyone deserves a fighting chance. Mia felt her heart clench. Could she trust him? Could they afford to turn down this offer? Her dreams began to cascade in front of her. What if this was the opportunity she had been waiting for? Why don't you show us your plan? Jack's voice cut through the tension, firm and grounding. Let us see what you propose. Mia's worry flared up again, pushed aside by the flicker of hope igniting within her. Mark hesitated, and for an instant, the glimmer of uncertainty passed over his polished exterior. I can provide access to resources, mentoring, and logistics support. Everything you need to make the garden a reality. If you trust me enough to work together. Silence fell, thick like a blanket smothering the optimism that moments ago had been dancing in the air. Mia's gaze locked with Jack's, seeking reassurance. She felt the pulse of the room, the hesitant excitement mixed with caution, disappointment competing with dreams. What do you all think? Mia finally asked, turning to her friends, igniting their varied expressions of intrigue, doubt, and hope. As conversations started to swirl again, each idea competing for space, Mia couldn't shake the thought that this wasn't just about the garden anymore. It was about a choice, a leap of faith into the uncertain future. But just as discussions erupted into spirited pitches and thoughts, Mark interjected, "And if you say yes, I'd need to make a few changes to your original vision. It might not look the same way you pictured." Mia's stomach sank. What did he mean by changes? Was this the price for help? In that moment, as the air crackled with tension again, she realized she was standing at a precipice. Would she risk everything they had built for the sake of a dream and the unfamiliar promise of a stranger? The next words could change everything, a leap or a standstill. Which would it be? Mia stood at the crossroad, every eye in the room glued to her. This was more than just a decision about a community garden, it was about trust, hope, and the future they yearned to create. Her heart thundered, caught between excitement and fear. What do you mean by changes? She asked, her voice steady despite the chaos swirling within. Mark took a step forward, hands raised slightly as if to calm the storm of emotions. I'm suggesting a more streamlined approach, one that could make the garden commercially viable. We can incorporate classes, workshops, and even farmers markets. It'll reach more people, more efficiently. His confidence was almost magnetic, drawing whispers and nods from the crowd. Yet, there was a part of her that felt uneasy. I appreciate your support, but this garden isn't just about profit for us. It's about community, about sharing. I don't want it to turn into a business deal, Mia declared, her voice unwavering. She glanced around. Jack was watching her, infusing her with strength. Their dreams weren't something to be bartered with, and she refused to let corporate interests overshadow their original vision. Exactly. Lucy shouted from the back, a fire igniting in her eyes. We need to preserve the heart of this project. It's about connection, not just sales. The crowd began to murmur in agreement, the energy shifting again, like waves crashing against the shore, pushing against Mark's polished facade. Mia saw it then, the fire in her community's eyes, the unity rising among them. They wanted more than just a garden, they wanted empowerment, chances, beliefs woven into the fabric of their everyday lives. Mark tried to regain momentum, but he could see the tide had turned. I understand the delicate balance you're aiming for. Maybe we can find a middle ground. What if we support your original vision while still incorporating some of the elements I mentioned? That sounds reasonable, one older woman finally replied, her brow furrowed but intrigue evident. We just need assurance that our values won't be compromised. Mia nodded eagerly. This dialogue was the lifeblood of transformation. Yes. It means the world to us that the garden is a place for nurturing our community. Not just a tool for profit. The room buzzed, people shared their thoughts, weaving together their hopes into a vivid tapestry, a shared mission that pulsed with energy. Then a younger voice broke through, can we also keep an eye on how funds are being used? Transparency is key. Another voice chimed in about the need to ensure everyone, especially the children, feels seen and valued throughout this process. With every passing comment, the vision took shape not as a compromise to be grasped in duality but as an opportunity for growth and collaboration, a shared canvas. Mia could feel the energy morphing into something potent and transformative. It was a soul-stirring charge of unity. Mark's smile wavered, yet admiration flashed in his eyes. I support this. Let us figure it out together, he relented. If you guide me, I'll listen. Your voices matter the most here. Mia felt a surge of hope strumming through her like a heartbeat, gaining momentum. Then let us build it together. Let us shape an initiative that fosters growth, love, and connection. Let this garden be a force for all the dreams we have. With every word, the audience erupted into applause, permeating the air with a thunderous sense of affirmation, and the distant doubt finally receded. They were no longer just individuals lost in their shadows, they were community warriors, united. The evening unfolded, filled with laughter, brainstorming, and moments shared, each person pouring their vision into this new venture. Mia glanced at Jack, who grinned back, his eyes sparkling with pride. As ideas flourished and plans formed, she felt like they were building a bridge, a steadfast connection that would carry them forward. By the end of the night, they had crafted something remarkable, a plan that was practical yet heartfelt, one that honored the community's spirit while also incorporating the wisdom provided by a new ally. Everyone was full of joy, and Mia looked out at the faces lit by hope. Each smile bore witness to the dreams they breathed life into, a tapestry woven with resilience and strength. Inside, Mia felt a transformation. Her past doubts melted away, replaced by an unwavering belief that they could withstand anything together. This was the moment she had dared to dream about, and it was real. Together, she whispered to herself, reliving every laughter and conversation echoing in her heart. As she left the community center, she felt lighter, full of possibilities flowing through her, a river of ambition washing over her doubts. The future shimmered ahead, vast and inviting. She found a way to turn struggle into resilience, doubt into courage, and isolation into community. In that moment, Mia understood that they were truly just beginning. And wherever life took them, they would face it as one, transformed and empowered. You need to be part of something this transformative. So subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Hit that like button right now to fuel this moment of inspiration. Comment below with your thoughts, feelings, and dreams for the future. And share this powerful story with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. This is the moment to show your support.